Hello. um, as they said, my name's, well, they call me Alexa, but Alexander will do. And as part of the Richmond Youth Council, we very much believe in sharing our knowledge and also our enthusiasm for young people's voices and representing them and things like that. So, so Mike, why is it important that M&S support the sharing economy?
Alexa, let me just answer that very briefly on such an important night for us all. I mean, M&S is a big business. I mean, many businesses here are small. It's fairly obvious that you're part of this nascent alternative economy. And then I turn in the bastion of the high street, 129 years of history, turning over £10 billion a year, selling 2.9 billion items of stuff each year. I seem to be the absolute antithesis of what you're talking about. But I think we're very clear that the future is a hybrid model, a hybrid economy that is both about selling new and sharing, swapping, bartering, however we want to describe it. Why? The resource crunch. There simply is not enough stuff on the planet to service everybody's needs. At the moment, about 1 billion of us in the West drive consumption. We know over the next 20 years, 2 billion people will emerge, China and India. There is a finite amount of cocoa, cotton, soy, you name it on the planet. It cannot service all those needs. It will drive price inflation. It will drive fundamental shortage of the materials we need. Unless Marks and Spencer can find a way of participating in an economy that makes better use of that resource, we're all in a very difficult situation. So we are going to put ourselves at the forefront through our model on clothing, swapping, to find a way of bringing old stuff back to us so it can have a good second life, in our case, through Oxfam. That's the first reason. The second reason is obviously wider societal disquiet with big corporations. In the past, it was tough. You didn't like us, but you had to shop with us. Now, thanks to social media, you can do anything you want. You can participate in this peer-to-peer economy. Again, unless Marks and Spencer and other big businesses are changing their behaviour, responding to that societal expectation and need, people will just go somewhere else to shop together. So we are changing how we run our business by putting swapping at the heart of our business model. We believe we can prosper by both selling new and sharing in the future as well.
So you're saying that swapping signals a new business direction for M&S completely?
Absolutely. We thought it was a toe in the water when we sort of introduced this Oxfam clothing exchange 4 or 5 years ago. There's just this sense that half the clothing that M&S sells, that any clothing retail sells in the UK, is thrown away. It's profligate waste. At the time, we wanted to work with Oxfam to make sure that the clothing came back to us. We could donate it to them to sell in their shops to raise a couple of million quid to fight poverty in Africa. Really important social need. Now what we're beginning to realise by working with Oxfam, not only can we raise that money for them, we can start to get fibre back to turn into new M&S clothing closing the loop. We've just launched a very successful women's coat. We're just bringing a men's coat in made out of entirely recycled swapped wool. The key thing for the consumer, to get them to want to do this new garment that we've launched, the women's coat made out of recycled wool, has gone on the market at half the price for a garment that would have been made from virgin wool. We have to give consumers reasons to participate in this as well. We can't just lecture about being greener. We have to give them reasons to do it. So it's a very different model. As I said, it will take us many years to bring it to full gestation, but the journey's begun.
So in the future, we like to see more M&S clothing being made from reused items.
Absolutely, and I think the future, certainly in the short term, is about making our existing business model more efficient. So better factories, better dye houses. That was the first part of the journey. The second part of the journey is now to start to close the loop, bring more garments back, but it's 4 million, not hundreds of millions. So let's keep our feet on the ground. But what we're starting to see is we started to bring that material back into our business, ensuring that we keep the value of the raw material rather than downcycling it. So by working with Oxfam, we can find the garments that they can sell, that they can take off and donate in Africa, the stuff that we can get the fibre back as well. So you're going to see more of this coming through, absolutely.
Okay, and obviously you're the head of sustainability there, but is there a wider support within M&S for initiatives like Global Sharing Day?
Absolutely. I mean, I do not buy clothing. I don't design it. I don't run shops. I don't run lorries. The people who do have got to want to do this. And we've worked very hard over the last 5 years to make sure that everything that M&S does on sustainability, something called Plan A, there is no Plan B for the one planet we've got, is not something owned by me and a small team in the middle. It's something that's owned by 80,000 of our people because it makes our business better for it. It saves us money, motivates our people, differentiates our brand, makes people want to come into our shops. So absolutely, it's owned by everybody. And it's owned against a difficult backdrop. Let's face it, this is the most troubled economic times we've seen in decades. So we've got to navigate through both short-term grief, but also prepare for a very different future. It's managing the short-term, long-term together that will define business success in the future.
And so what do you think the implications of the sharing economy are for the future of not just your business but other businesses as well?
I think it's absolutely profound. I think any big established business that is not thinking a very different way about selling stuff, whether that is a product or a service, and how they interact with their consumer, is in for a very bloody nose. And I think some well-established business models are going to rapidly become uneconomic because they cannot deal with the resource crunch, they cannot deal with the crunch that's coming from consumers and society as well.
And what do you think the sharing economy means for democracy, being Democracy Week?
I mean, it's absolutely profound. We've lived in this very top-down society over the last few decades, and understandably, understand why it's brought some benefits. But it's been very much command and control, but both on a government scale and on a commercial scale. Big organisations, quite remote from people and communities, have made decisions, and everybody had to respond to them. Again, the next decade are all about individuals, they're about communities, they're about tribes, and they're about big business and big government learning to interact in a very different way, or literally losing their commercial and political mandate to survive. We will not be here if you're not in touch with the world around you.
I represent young people. By encouraging people to recycle clothing, perhaps by buying vintage, or are we selling a better message, do you think, to young people that I represent?
Absolutely, because again, if you think about the way that we've all been brought up and many people have started to consume in the wider world, it's about the American dream. Ever since the Second World War, people have been brought up that success means acquiring more stuff, more cars, more houses, more phones, whatever it may be. What we need to do is break that cycle and make people cherish and treasure the stuff that they own and they have. Now again, our business model has been built for 129 years in terms of quality, products that last. We need to do an even better job at making people sure that we deliver that for the consumer. And it's not about disposable fashion, it's about something that's got heart and a soul that people want, they keep and they pass along.
One last one. What do you share?
What do I share? I swapped this morning. So, being a business suit that I am, I go through an awful lot of suits. All those suits go back now to Oxfam through the swapping model to make sure that they have a secondary use. I shared the learning and experience of M&S. You're an enlightened audience, you care passionately about this space. I'm not pushing you to do it, you're ahead of me in many cases. But I work with many businesses who want to be inspired to say that this is both the future and it makes business sense. M&S made £105 million of net benefit last year from Plan A. I share that with other organisations to inspire them to begin this journey as well.
That's great, thank you.
Thank you.